I'm sorry I haven't put any videos up lately. One of the reasons you probably can see in my face, and that is that I've had a fairly strong reaction to something, and it's caused some what's called ectopic dermatitis. I usually get that on my eyelids, and as you can see, I've got it pretty good. This is actually better than it was, and it's healing up at this point. But I wanted to bring this subject up because I know that I'm not the only one who suffers from this, and that in fact, if you are making guitars for a living and you're in the dusty environment of the shop, you may end up with this eventually. I did not have this as a younger man, as a young guitar maker, and I have it now. And there are other things I'm allergic to that does this. Corn pollen is one. I've moved out of the state of Colorado and into an area that does not do corn as a primary staple crop. So I am out of the corn arena, corn pollen threat, which may or may not help whether I'm allergic to corn product. I've never noticed that, but I did have a number of tests done years ago, and the only thing that came up out of the standard 50 or however many things they test you for was corn pollen. So I know that that's an issue. However, I went a little further with the doctor and I said, okay, well, let's try some sawdust from the things that I'm working with. And so we did, and sure enough, I was allergic to 2 of the sawdusts that I gave him as samples. Now, these 2 are, and I'll show you some of these, Hunter and Rosewood, pretty staple for making necks, even bodies on guitars, even tops. And, surprise, surprise, Indian Rosewood. Okay, another staple of what we do as guitar makers. Now, this particular effect was happening months ago, and I just kind of was ignoring it. It wasn't too awful. It was just kind of puffy eyelids, and who cares? Until I got a new resaw blade. And first of all, I have to say the wood slicer bandsaw blade is a tremendous blade. It is by far the best resaw blade I've ever used, and I will be getting more of them. However, I kind of went crazy once I got this blade, and I thought, well, you know, if it cuts whatever it was I cut first, this well, I should just go through the boards that I've got and just do a bunch of resawing until this blade is done. And so I did, and I cut a lot of wood with this one blade. Now it's pretty dull right now, but I went through a lot of East Indian rosewood that I had as boards. I now have, in fact, this particular set of sides I cut during that time frame. That was a little over a month ago, right? So I did the Indian rosewood. I did some more Bolivian rosewood, which is not a rosewood, but called Morado. I did quite a bit of this stuff, which is Madagascar rosewood, Bois de Rose. I don't know how that's actually pronounced. It just means rosewood in French. And I was unaware, actually, that this was Madagascar rosewood when I first got it. I didn't know what it was. Someone sold it to me as Brazilian rosewood, which it obviously wasn't. But I've used it off and on, mixed it with Indian rosewood for backs and sides and things like that. And I'd noticed some sensitivity to that as well. So right off the bat, I'm resawing 3 or 4 boards of Indian rosewood, which I know I'm allergic to. Several boards, I believe at least 2, some of which was pretty thick, of the Madagascar rosewood, which I know I'm allergic to, not from the test, but just from prior experience. I don't think I did any other rosewoods during this particular session, but I did do some ebonies. I wasn't aware that I had any problems with ebonies prior to this, and I don't think I do even now. But by then, I'd been doing some resawing for a couple of days, and it wasn't long after that that the rather latent puffiness of the eyes that I'd had before kind of exploded into a full-blown, episode. And so for a number of weeks I tried to kind of solve it. I got some anti-itch cream and various other things, and the only result was that it itched a lot. It got redder and puffier, and started spreading to other parts of my body, behind my knees and various parts that we don't want to talk about. And so it got kind of nasty until I realized that I was really going to have to deal with it. And I started taking some antihistamines, like Claritin, that sort of thing. And it's been going down for the last several days. I wanted to make this video prior to me looking normal, just to show kind of what it does. And it's kind of an odd thing. It runs in my family, and weirdly enough, I should be allergic to corn, having grown up in Colorado where corn is king. And woods that I work with every day. So that's a hazard of lutherie that we need to come to grips with as we get older. And sometimes it shows up when we're younger with woods like cocobolo, but it's a hazard, and we need to be aware of it. That doesn't mean that we go full suit for everything, but we have to be aware that this happens, have some backup plans so that we don't become incapacitated and can't do what we do. So anyway, that's my message for today. Hope you do better than I have.